Hi everybody, welcome to LA School Voice. My name is Gloria Martinez and I'm Vice President of UTLA, Vice President of Elementary Schools here at United Teachers Los Angeles. Before we get started and give you an overview of today's exciting segment, I want to remind you guys to please follow us on Instagram as well as Facebook and Twitter at UTLA Now. And today we will be discussing Measure EE. We have some exciting guests that we are eager to have this conversation with. And I'll be joined later on today by Mayor Eric Garcetti, who will be talking to us about, the importance of Measure EE and how important it is for folks to get out and vote on June 4th. Los Angeles has a great opportunity to really tackle the underfunding of our schools, and we're excited to have Mayor Garcetti as one of our allies in this fight. I'm also going to be speaking with Joseph Zecolla. He is the 2018, LA County Teacher of the Year, and he's going to share a little bit about what Measure EE translates for him as a teacher and in his classroom. So we're very excited to have him here as well. And he's also UTLA Chapter Chair at Sherman Oaks Center for Enriched Studies, or SOSIS. So that's our lineup. We will also have a member, a parent, Ruby Gordillo, will be joining us. And she has children in LAUSD, 3 children in LAUSD at 10th Street Elementary and Lathy as well. And Ruby has been involved with the Yes on EE campaign. She's been phone banking. She's been helping us carry out the word on a yes vote for Measure EE on June 4th. And so we're going to have a conversation with her and the mayor en Espanol. So please make sure that you stay tuned for that. That's going to be a little bit later on today. So over the weekend, I had a chance to walk with our city's mayor and visit 2 churches in LA. We visited Young Knock Presbyterian Church in Lincoln Heights, and then we also went over to Hollywood United Methodist Church out in Hollywood, and it was such a warm, receiving environment. I cannot stress enough to our members, to our community, to our parents, to our students that are watching, I cannot stress enough how important it is how important what we did in January is to the folks of LA. And it was just, we felt it when we were out there with the community this weekend, people coming up to us and really thanking us for taking on education in LA and talking about some uncomfortable topics such as the underfunding of our schools in Los Angeles. As we built and prepared for our strike, we talked about how California is the 5th largest economy in the world, and we're the largest economy in this country, but yet we sit at an astounding 44th place when it comes to per pupil funding. We sit 48th when it comes to class size. And these are things that need to be rectified. And if we really want to challenge and improve our school systems in LA, then we need to talk about the funding. We need to talk about students' learning conditions. We need to talk about nurses, librarians, as well as the teaching conditions of our students, and really engage with our community. So, we have Mayor Garcetti here. He's joined us in our fight to lower class sizes, to have a nurse at every school. He's joined us in the fight for a librarian at every elementary school. Ethnic studies, increasing the outreach for art and music for our students. So welcome, Mayor Garcetti. Thanks for being here.
Great to be with you, and great to be with you this weekend.
Yes,
too.
it was great.
Thanks for coming to church together.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Awesome. It was great.
So, can you explain to us, Mayor, why is EE important, and why should the voters of Los Angeles go out on June 4th and vote yes on EE?
Well, first of all, thank you for doing this, Gloria, and hi to everybody who's watching us, teachers, parents, supporters. It's this amazing coalition that really came out in January. I always joke that our snow days are rain days in Los Angeles, and to see tens of thousands of Angelinos come out in January showed all of us that education is still so important to us, a good public education for all of our children. And the resolution of the strike was just the first step. It said that for the next 2 years, the district could afford and would, because of the advocacy of the teachers, start to lower class sizes, start to add nurses, start to add counselors. But you're right. I mean, those statistics speak for themselves. We're 48th in ranking, and we're 48th in size for our classes. I mean, you have literally some classes with 48, even 50 students trying to learn math, trying to learn some of the basics. No kid can learn in that situation. Counselors with 700 students. So forget if you just want to go to college or get a job. If you're feeling bad about yourself or having really tough mental health issues, you have to get in line, and there's no nurse there, there's nobody to talk to behind 700 other kids. So if we truly believe what we say, that every kid, no matter where she or he is born, deserves a good chance in life, this is our moment to do that. And Measure EE will extend that progress of those first 2 years into the next 5. Actually, it's a 12-year-long proposal.
It is, yes.
So we could see class sizes come down 6 or 7 students per class. We would see a nurse every single day in all of our schools, because kids don't schedule when they're going to get sick or injured. We'd see libraries that are closed today on our campuses reopened with teacher librarians. And then, the support staff, too, is so important. We have schools that you can clean the front and maybe clean some of the bathrooms, and that's it. So teachers are cleaning their own classrooms. They're paying out of pocket. You know that as somebody who represents teachers, those sorts of stories. So just as mayor, I'm not in charge of the school district, but I said I'm responsible for this city. And to me, there's nothing more important for our future than making sure those kids have a start. And we've got to really talk about some tough truths about who we're putting in the schools, what we're doing to fund them or not fund them, and what that means to our future collectively.
Yeah. No, thank you so much for just being an ally in this work. Absolutely. and for going out there, right? You were door knocking on Saturday with Alex Caputo Pearl, and it's, and I know that a lot of you out there, a lot of our members were door knocking. I was out at the Korean Resource Center this weekend, and as we took a group picture, but when I logged onto Facebook, there were already all of these posts, right, about I'm out here walking, and it was groups, even if it's small groups of school colleagues together doing that. So thank you. And, I thank you for bringing up some of those issues, because I think a well-staffed school is exactly what we need. Our students deserve small class sizes, but they also deserve a clean, warm environment where parents, community, and students feel welcomed, right? And they feel valued, because I think that's why teachers invest so much in our schools, and we sweep and we buy the Lysol wipes, because we want our students to have that environment that we know is so pivotal to.
I had one teacher I was talking to who talked about, she a special needs teacher, and so her kids have to get down on the carpet because it's important for them to have tactile experiences. And she was first talking about the Play-Doh she has to buy out of pocket, because you can't use Play-Doh from 2 years ago, let alone 2 months or 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
But the carpet, she said, I have to choose between whether or not I can get a classroom assistant or something, or whether that darn carpet, which is dirty and disgusting, and I try to clean it, can get replaced. And she said, what does this say about the value of our children? And how does it make them feel when they go in there and say, oh, I have to sit on this dirty carpet? Right.
And those stories are so common amongst our members. I mean, we don't have to tell those that are watching, because you guys live it every day. So there's a lot of misconceptions about EE, and we've seen some things come up in social media, right? We don't trust the district, that teachers shouldn't have to pay and bail out the district on this. And so I wanted to have a conversation with you on that, because I do believe that the oversight committee, the oversight we're providing for these funds, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is where we would actually have the most oversight for these funds, right?
Absolutely.
And so can you let me know, how do you, when you were out door knocking this weekend, how did you convince someone who was maybe on the fence or a no? How do we convince them to a yes?
Well, first of all, we're going door to door. It's been great. I mean, people say, absolutely, I'm for the kids. It's my nephew, it's my kid, it's my granddaughter. They know viscerally how bad it is in schools. For folks who don't have their kids in schools, first and foremost, I'd say just go visit a school these days. And tell me if you think that that's right and that's just. And we used to be #1 in the country in per pupil funding, and now for 44th, with the cost of living, we're really the bottom. We're 50th, if we're honest with ourselves. But a couple things. I too want to hold the district accountable. You do too. I mean, all of us do. So when we designed this and we're involved in this, I said I would only support this if it had strict oversight, which today the rest of the dollars in the district don't have. These dollars would. I would have a role in appointing somebody, so it's outside of the school district. The county board of supervisors would have a role in appointing somebody. That have independent audits, so you can't have the district audit itself. So every year it would be an outside accounting group that would come in and look at that. And then also it would have life, so it lasts just over a decade. If it's not achieving what it achieves, voters can then say something about it. But I trust that it will, because we know when music classes don't exist in schools, when we have arts education being maybe 1 day a week, and those teachers visiting from place to place, this will show us how we're spending the money. We can see it, and we can adjust that as it goes too. Another one of the myths is oh, this is just going to teachers. I saw in January during the strike, teachers could have been striking for more money. They didn't. They took the same raise that janitors and bus drivers got. They said, we're out here striking because we want lower class size. If you have $1 and you can give an extra $1 to me, and by the way, these are teachers who are paying out of pocket, who have second jobs.
Absolutely.
Nobody's driving around in Cadillacs who's a teacher in LAUSD right now. They were saying, we want to put that back in for the kids. And I think that's something that the public needs to know, because it's so easy to say out there, oh, screw the schools, the school district, we hate them, don't give them any more money. What you're saying is not screw the school district, you're saying screw the kids. You're saying those kids don't matter. We won't put any money in. And one day, some mythical year out there, 10 years from now, I'll finally say, okay, it's good enough for me, and now I'll put money in, and 10 years of kids will have been left behind.
Right, right. And you know, that investment that teachers have to make daily, right? Like, do I buy this carpet? Do I buy the Lysol wipes? Do I buy that student this jacket? Like, these are all decisions that we make, that we're faced with, especially in a city like Los Angeles. You know, the opposition is very well funded, right? They've been very successful in calling their rich people friends and investing into the no. And one of the things I've been hearing is teachers being called greedy, but yet you just said, you know, and I think those members that are watching and the community that has joined us, our ask in January for 22 months leading up to January was not about how do we get more money for me. It was how do we get more money for the mental health and support services that our students need that I can't either deal with because there's too many or I'm not equipped to, right? How do we call out the fact that this library is closed and inaccessible for students? So what do we say to someone who's hearing the no rhetoric and saying, calling us greedy teachers?
There's been a lot of things that I've been offended by, but the one that was most offensive is when I saw the opposition had a picture of a teacher with like a bunch of $100 bills. Like, anybody who knows teachers knows if there's any money in their hand, it's because they're going to the store to get supplies that the district can't afford to pay for.
Dollar Tree.
And you know, I think beating up on teachers, who do we expect to educate our kids?
Right.
And remember, this is agnostic. This is for the district schools, this is for charter schools, this is for everybody. Oftentimes, we don't agree on these things. Let's be honest. We have charter school groups and the teachers union at loggerheads. We've got the district and the union sometimes fighting with each other. The unions even fighting with one another. We have a coalition of everybody together. And I don't want to say that it's just greedy business people who are against this, because we have a lot of really great business people who have donated to the Yes on EE side. They know they need it for a workforce, for the companies here. They know they need it to attract the middle class here. They know it helps property values. So when I saw a few business people and so-called business groups that said, oh, this is going to be bad, that really, to me, was offensive, because those folks either don't have kids in the schools, or if they do, they don't realize, they haven't been there to see what it is needed. And EE is designed with strict oversight, with classroom-based benefits, and also is a coalition of this entire city realizing, I know we're going to get way over 50%. The question is, will we get to 2/3? So we know a huge majority of the city is with us. Schools, 90% right now, African-American, Latino, and 90% poverty. So if you're against this, you're essentially saying, our black and brown kids don't count. And poverty, good luck. We'll try to deal with it afterwards. Homelessness, incarceration, et cetera.
Yeah. I mean, these are all, yourself as mayor, right? You see this as all of the pieces aligning, right? You just mentioned a lot of really serious social justice issues, right? And you know, as UTLA and what we've done and the build up to the strike, we called out what we deal with every day, right? Like education and making sure that our students have the foundation to succeed and investing in it. And I think that's one of the things that I've been seeing in conversations, and really I've seen a change in tone in social media lately. I think at first there was all this apprehension, but as the facts come out, who is funding, right? Who is funding the no? And I understand that there is some hesitation about oversight and not trusting, you know, parties, right, that we're now in coalition with. But more so our distrust to the folks funding the no. Like, we got to ask their motive, right?
Well, they were the ones that gave us Prop 13. It's Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. I mean, they're a very extremist group. And the folks that got in bed with them, they have said they're for education in the past, but let's be clear, these are people who don't want more money in schools. They'd like to kill off public education. They'd like to see it completely disappear. So it's not just that they're worried about oversight. They're using that excuse to say, no more funding, sorry kids, you're stuck with 48 kids in the class, full stop.
And that's it. And you know, one of the things that we are, during our strike, one of the things that we were very honest about, and just one of our pillars that was driving our strike is the underfunding, right?
Yeah.
So, and how it has to be local through this measure, EE, right, when we vote yes on June 4th for EE, how it has to be statewide. We're tackling that with the schools and communities first come in 2020, but also the funding of Title I and IDEA as California moves itself as a power force, right, like during the primaries. So, and then, you know what, can you explain a little bit about parcel taxes and how they're used, and then if there's, I'm sure you have other mayor friends throughout the city, throughout the state, so tell us a little bit about what that looks like.
So what makes LAUSD different is that it's one of the few big districts that hasn't passed a parcel tax to help with the funding of operations. Thank goodness we've had voters very generously pass the bonds to construct new schools and better school facilities. That's helped us really improve our schools around the city. Our graduation rate has almost doubled from its low point. But at the same time, you need to not just build buildings, you need to put people in them. So Oakland, San Francisco, San Jose, here in our own backyard, South Pasadena, Manhattan Beach, Santa Monica, they all have these. And people say, well, why can't you be like those school districts? Is it bad management?
Yes.
Well, they also have additional monies.
Right.
So it's very low. It's 16 cents per square foot per year.
Right.
So, I mean, we're talking about something that probably, if you're a homeowner, improves your property values by $10,000 or $20,000 because you have a better school for a couple $100 a year. And for the businesses, because the majority of this is paid for by commercial industrial properties and 70%, institutions, 70% of that. You know, those are folks, I think some of the people who oppose this said, oh, we want to pay the exact same as a homeowner in South LA. That Dodger Stadium, and the Dodgers, by the way, are not opposed to this, so I'm just using that as an example.
Okay, tread lightly here, Mayor.
But we love our Dodgers. Let's find another one. So a big mall or something would pay the same as 1,100 square foot home in South LA. That's not right. We pay what we own because it's proportionate.
Right.
So I'm going to be voting for it, and I'm going to be paying for it because I know it's a good investment. So we look at those other school districts around the state. They've seen their scores come up. They've seen their numbers come up. And we want to do the same thing here in LA because the teachers deserve that and our kids deserve that. Our kids
deserve that. Thank you so much for saying that. So thank you, Mayor.
Absolutely.
So next, we're going to bring up Joe Zecolla. He's the 2018 LA County Teacher of the Year. Just to remind you folks, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Just to remind you though, please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, UTLA Now. You can email questions if you still have any concerns. I know a lot of our members are out there leading this work and having these really difficult conversations with community, with members, maybe with families. So if you have any concerns or any questions, please feel free to email us at laschoolvoice@utla.net. You can email your concern or question, and then we will be able to give you some responses and letting you know. And you just might be wondering, like, which is true? What's the fact here? So we can provide that. And of course, you can always visit yesonee.org and wearepublicschools.org. That has been our beacon for community and for messaging around our tough issues that we've been tackling on for the last couple of years. All right, so Joe, welcome. Have you met the mayor?
I did. Mr. Z, they call him, right?
Mr. Z. So, Mayor, do you want to, pose some questions?
Sure, absolutely. So you're a classroom teacher. You feel this every single day.
Absolutely.
You know you've been recognized as a great teacher. You are well respected by your students. What is the worst part of your job right now, and how can EE fix that?
The worst part of my job? It would have to be class size. I'm in a situation now, and I can give you sort of both sides of it. I worked in South Central for 10 years, and I can go back to that. I'm in an integration magnet now, which is considered one of the more lucky schools. But even at that integration magnet, we have students taking 25 buses to come to our school from South Central, from all over LA, because they want to be at this school. But they don't get different resources because of that. So we're in a situation where we have a finite amount of students. We keep the same amount no matter what we do. And if we want to offer a class, if we want to say some kids want AP Environmental Science, but there's only 22 kids, now what do we do with those other kids? Now all of a sudden we're pushing class sizes to 45, 46, 47 in other science classes. We have no money to do anything else with that. We've had to pay for 3 days of our nurse out of our own budget as opposed to getting one just because we're a public school. So that's money that doesn't go elsewhere. We had to pay for a librarian out of our own budget. So that's money that doesn't go elsewhere. And this is at one of the more lucky schools, where we can go back to South Central, where I was for 10 years, where we didn't have enough psychiatric social workers, right? And we have to pay for our school psychologists at Currents.
Talk about that for a minute, because I heard from the superintendent actually that there was a middle school recently with more than 1,000 kids, and something like 132 of them had some sort of suicidal ideation in recent months. In other words, they had thought about, picturing themselves killing themselves or suicide. We know how tough it is to be a teenager, and that there was one social worker there for that kind of caseload. What does this mean for the mental health of students who come in? Obviously, we think the schools should solve everything, but they're coming from tough environments, sometimes violent neighborhoods, and then they come into a school. It's the best place we can help save them.
Right.
But do we have enough people around that can sit down, regularly with a kid and help her or help him deal with what's going on in their life?
Oh, absolutely not. It's not even close. I mean, whether you look at schools in South Central where so many kids are dealing with trauma, right, or our current school, my current school where you have some kids who get to bus they ride a bus for an hour and a half, 2 hours to get there from an area where they may be experiencing trauma. We don't have the people to help the kids.
Yeah.
One of the other big issues that we've been pushing towards is some sort of restorative justice, because when kids have discipline problems in a classroom, it's because something's going on at home, right? Well, we need the kid out of the room so the other kids can learn, but then you need someone to help that kid.
Yeah.
So the kid comes back in a place to learn. Instead, no one's learning because we don't have any place to put them.
Right.
And then in terms of the social work, I mean, we had to do a situation where I was at Santee Education Complex with a very willing principal. We had to decide we only had enough money to get either a second PSA counselor, which is pupil attendance, or a second psychiatric social worker for a population of 1,800 students.
Yeah.
Amazing. So either show up or get some help, and don't show
but
up.
we can't do both,
Or
right?
show up and don't
Yeah.
help.
There's
That's
not
amazing.
enough money.
And I want to say something about class size, because I think it's important. Teachers are the first. We're the first, intervention for students when we see a student that is withdrawn, right? That statistic is just heartbreaking, right? And considering all the social pressures and our society where it is right now as a country, as a state, as a city, even as a neighborhood, right? Like where we're at. Sometimes when you have 38 students, 42 students, or 29 students in an elementary class, how do I get to check in with every student and make sure that they're ready to learn, right? But I'm expected to have these results in the test. I'm expected to have kids figure it out on their own and just kind of help them get through it. But that's neither logical nor is it working, right? So we shouldn't have to make a decision between social workers or PSA counselors, and we should be able to check in with our students. That class size really does make a difference.
I mean, just at a very simple, fundamental academic level, the average class size for a lot of our English classes at my school is 38 this year. It's going to go down a little. But with 38, it's 9.5 hours if I want to spend 15 minutes on a paper.
Wow.
Right? If I want to do writers' conferences, which is just a little one-on-one check-in, maybe 4 or 5 minutes, and I have to run a timer. It's going to take me a week and a half, and I do nothing else. How am I going to do it, spend enough time circling through the room to catch that kid who most likely is trying to hide in the back dealing with whatever he or she is dealing with?
Or something.
How am I going to catch that?
Yeah.
Right? So it makes it even harder, and we're being asked to do too much, and the kids just deserve more. That's the bottom line.
The interesting thing for me is, as voters look at this, because there is tremendous things that are going on in the schools. I don't want it to all just be bad news, help save us. We've seen teachers come together. We've seen momentum on graduation rates, but it's not enough. EE helps us go further. But to the skeptical voter who's like, well, I care too much about homelessness. I don't want to see us incarcerate so many people. I'm concerned about trauma and mental health. It really starts in the schools. We're going to pay for this one way or the other, right?
We are.
We're either going to pay for it up front to prevent, and it will be cheaper, or in the long term when we incarcerate somebody, and that costs $100,000 a year, or when I'm working hard to get somebody off the street who's homeless living in a tent, that could cost us in a weekend $150,000 with just emergency room visits, or invest a couple $100 and get $500 million right into the schools every year for the next decade.
Right.
That should be a pretty easy decision, right?
It's a no-brainer. Right? To create a productive person, a happy, healthy, productive person, benefits us in countless ways, as opposed to underfunding it and watching the results of that neglect, that societal neglect.
Yeah,
Thank you, Joe, so much. Thank you, Joe, so much for your activism. Congrats on winning the 2018 LA County Teacher of the Year. Very excited. And then, just being involved. I know you were very involved during the strike, and just sharing your story, your two experiences, and letting us know how EE will make an impact in your classroom. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr.
Keep up the good work.
All right, everybody. So So as you can see, these conversations are difficult to tackle, but especially for our members out there at the school sites, you're going to have an opportunity to reach out to parents. You're going to have an opportunity to reach out to other members. Feel free to email us at laschoolvoice@utla.net. If you have any concerns, reach out to us in social media. Reach out to your chapter chair who's been provided with, who has heard this information. I won't say reach out to the mayor because I'm sure he's busy.
But if you've got any swing voters, let UTLA know. I'll call them myself.
Yeah, you have been very active.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to bring up someone else who's been very active in calling folks for a yes on EE, and that's Ruby Gordillo. She is a parent who became involved, activated during the strike. Thank you for joining us, Ruby.
How are you? Good to see you.
Thank you. And you're also a member of Reclaim Our Schools LA.
Yes.
Reclaim Our Schools LA is the coalition that we've been working with, who's also been very active in getting us a yes on EE vote. You have 3 children at LAUSD, 10th Street and Lathy Middle School. And so Ruby, just let us know, and I'm going to, just for this part, we're going to do in English first, right? And then we'll speak a little bit in Spanish.
Right.
So I wanted to ask you, how did you become involved with, the Yes on EE campaign?
I got involved on the EE campaign while canvassing for Jackie Goldberg.
Yay!
It all comes together. It's all for the education. It's all for our kids. And it's super important that we get EE passed.
Yeah.
Our students are depending on us. And it's our opportunity as parents, as community, to put our part, for them.
Yeah.
Do our part, the teacher was saying, and we either pay it now or we're going to pay the consequences in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So remind us, where do your kids go to school?
I have a 8th grader at
Uh-huh.
John Lathy Middle School,
Nice.
and I have a 5th grade and a 2nd grader at 10th Street Elementary.
So walk us through. Let's start with 10th Street Elementary. What kind of things does that school need, and what would EE put into that school if it passed?
Okay, I think it's not just our school,
Sure.
but we definitely lack special ed resources. I have a son who, my 2nd grade son, he's in special ed, and last school year he had to be transferred to a different school because they didn't have the program he had there. They have it now, but
And that was further away from your house and from your
it
home?
was.
Yeah.
It was still within the area, but it's still an inconvenience. It's
course.
traffic, and
2 campuses now, 3 campuses.
3
right?
campuses,
Yeah. So it definitely is an issue when we have one teacher for 12 to 15 special ed students, and they each have their own needs.
Right.
And we can't. It's impossible for us to divide ourselves into so many pieces and attend to each of their needs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We can't do it.
Absolutely.
And even though they have aides and stuff, there's only so much that they can do.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that, because I'm a special ed teacher, so this plays very closely to my heart. I appreciate you being so active with our campaign, and I wanted to ask you, there's parents out there that are watching, and who just might need a little bit more information on why to vote yes. What do you have to? How does your perspective? Because we've heard from Joseph, right? We've heard from the mayor. You've heard from UTLA, but how does a parent convey the yes on EE message? What do you say to them?
I say to them that this is our opportunity to do something for our kids.
Yeah.
For 2 years almost, we've been fighting for what can we do and how are we going to get involved, and just people don't have the time, people don't have the daycare or whatever to come into the rallies and the community meetings and all of these things.
Yeah.
But this is our opportunity. This is our chance to give back to our kids. They are our future.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people think there might be other things on the ballot. This is the only thing on the ballot. There's no mayors, there's no presidents. We can talk about that another time. No governors, no other measures. There's one city council race that's happening in the valley, and we encourage people to vote for that. But otherwise, this is a chance just to vote for our kids. I mean, how often do we get that opportunity? And I think a lot of people think they can sit it out because they saw how many people came to support the teachers during the
no,
strike.
that's not the case.
But we need 2/3. We know we will get that majority, but 2/3 could be your vote. So especially to the parents, this is about your kids.
Vote counts.
Yep.
Yeah, this is one of those opportunities where indeed every vote will count in this city. But also, you mentioned the word opportunity, and there's just a real opportunity, to really fundamentally change funding in education. We went out on strike for 6 days in the rain. 6 days, we build and put structures into place at our school sites with our parents. Throughout the city, we made sure that we had, sites open at 4 in the morning so people can pick up their posters. We had poster making, the art making sessions that we had as we build up for the strike, which was wonderful, and it brought us all together. But now, to really do something about funding, just for the students of LA, I mean, that is a testament to what we've built, right? It is a testament to our righteousness in this fight, and as a lifelong educator, who taught in East LA, I have always been challenged with the underfunding of my classroom. Always. And, the class size, even when I left the special ed, I had 19 students when I left. I had 7 special ed students when I started, right? So, I mean, the opportunity here is just, it's overwhelming. But again, getting that 67%, when we talk to folks, it's an 85% yes. So people are on our side because we know that this has been ignored for too long. We brought it to light, right?
Yes,
Parents have been talking about it. I know officials have been talking about it. We as an organization have been talking about it, but now it's our opportunity to do something about it. So I'm going to go into some questions in Spanish so we can reach some of the parents. So Mayor, is your Spanish better than?
No.
Así que, Ruby, por favor, platícanos un poco sobre cómo es que te involucraste en la medida CNE.
Yo me involucré durante mi involucramiento en la campaña de Jackie Goldberg. Estamos tratando de como padres y comunidad traer el apoyo que necesitamos para nuestros estudiantes y nuestras escuelas. Y pues estamos en una crisis muy grande y es nuestro momento de por fin hacer algo al respecto. Siempre ponemos la presión en las escuelas y en los maestros y de que por qué nuestros hijos no están en los niveles que nosotros quisiéramos, ¿verdad? Pues desafortunadamente no pueden, ¿verdad? Porque no tienen los recursos los maestros, no tienen los recursos las escuelas. Y esta es nuestra oportunidad de hacer nosotros, de nuestros hogares, de nuestra, ahora sí que de nuestra cartera, ¿verdad?
Sí, ajá.
Hacer algo por nuestros estudiantes.
Sí.
¿Cuántos hijos tienen?
Tengo 3 hijos.
3 hijos. ¿Y dónde están? ¿Qué campus?
Tengo una hija que está en el 8º grado en John Knighty Middle School y mis 2 pequeños son de 2º y 5º grado en 10th Street Elementary School.
¿Y qué necesita las escuelas de tus hijas mejorar? Porque ellos merecen
definitivamente
un sistema de educación
equitativo.
Mejor. Sí, equitativo. Claro. ¿Qué
nuestras escuelas están muy necesitadas de educación especial, los recursos para educación especial. Ya sea más
maestros, entrenamiento, profesionales para
claro, necesitamos que haya más psicólogos, más terapistas que puedan venir y ayudar a nuestros niños, darle los recursos que necesitan, porque no tiene caso que lleven un programa individualizado si no se está individualizando nada.
Claro.
Si no se puede lograr. Ruby, tú mencionaste la comparación, ¿verdad? Que nosotros ponemos mucha presión en las escuelas. Hablamos antes sobre cómo toma toda la comunidad para que pueda lograr un niño en Los Ángeles, pueda lograr sus sueños y todo sus metas, ¿verdad?
Claro.
Y el alcalde habló sobre las otras ciudades que invierten más en sus escuelas. Entonces,
sí, en San Francisco, Oakland,
Sí.
San José,
Sí.
Santa Mónica. Sí.
Sí, y es el tiempo de que nosotros también estemos en ese mismo
Eso es.
vagón del tren, ¿verdad?
Sí.
Nos hemos tardado
Ujú.
demasiado y es bien desafortunado que nuestros hijos, nuestros estudiantes sean quienes paguen la consecuencia
Sí.
de nuestras malas decisiones.
sí, y para los que nos están viendo, los estados como Nueva York y Connecticut, ellos invierten aproximadamente entre $22,000 y $24,000 al año por estudiantes, en comparación a California, donde ahorita aproximadamente $13,000 invertimos en un estudiante. Entonces, no podemos comparar la educación en Nueva York con la educación en Los Ángeles, en California, y tampoco podemos comparar la educación en San Francisco, donde ellos pasaron una medida.
Sí, en este tipo. Y estamos número 44 en todos los estados de los Estados Unidos.
De 50.
Sí, sí.
Yeah.
Pero es muy importante también porque la cuesta de inacción es muy
más grande.
cara,
Es muy
más
cara.
grande.
Yeah.
Y la oportunidad para invertir ahora en nuestros hijos es más barato, ¿sí?
Sí.
Y la visión de no solamente es una visión solamente del sistema de las escuelas, pero la ciudad, el condado, los negocios, los sindicatos, juntos. Este es parte de una nueva coalición para todos los hijos en la ciudad. So es una buena oportunidad, no solamente por las escuelas, pero por la ciudad también.
Sí, es algo que durante nuestra huelga notamos que queremos lograr tanto por nuestros estudiantes, pero con un límite de $13,000, ahí está, ¿verdad? Ahí es donde
Bien
pegamos.
difícil.
Ajá, sí. Entonces, ¿cómo es que invertimos más en nuestros estudiantes? ¿Cómo es que podemos disminuir el número de estudiantes en las aulas? ¿Cómo es que podemos dejar un poco más en el fondo general para más arte, más música, más psicólogos, más social workers, trabajadores sociales, para que ayuden a nuestras comunidades y a nuestros estudiantes? Así que, Ruby, tú has trabajado en la campaña de Jackie Goldberg, muchísimas gracias, y ahora estás trabajando en la campaña de C en EE, y tú hablas a diario con padres, donde en la 10th Street o en Lathy. ¿Qué información les quieres dar, qué mensaje les quieres dar a esos padres para recordarles de votar sí el 4 de junio?
Bueno, el mensaje no necesariamente es solamente para los padres de mis escuelas, pero para los padres de Los Ángeles, para la comunidad de Los Ángeles. Es súper importante que salgamos a votar este 4 de junio y que nos aseguremos en votar sí en la EE, porque de ello nuestra comunidad va a sufrir las consecuencias.
Yeah.
Si mucha gente dice que, es que yo ya no tengo niños en las escuelas, lo entiendo, pero tú también fuiste un niño, tú también fuiste un estudiante.
Sí.
Y nosotros queremos que nuestros chiquitos tengan la misma oportunidad que tuviste tú y que tuviste tú, y que que sean que salgan adelante las comunidades. Sin la educación no va a salir adelante ni los estudiantes ni las comunidades.
El alcalde y yo visitamos iglesias durante este fin de semana, y una de las iglesias fue Young Knock Presbyterian, que es una comunidad coreana. Y el sábado yo caminé con el Korean Resource Center y había comunidad coreana, y mis padres vinieron a este país por la educación. Mis padres vinieron ni pensar que yo lograría estar aquí con ustedes, ¿verdad? Y creo cuando interactué con la comunidad coreana, esa unidad de tener el mismo mensaje. Cuando hablamos en el Korean Resource Center, nos dijeron, esta comunidad va a apoyar, nomás tenemos que ir a tocar las puertas y hablar con ellos, porque esta comunidad valúa la educación, y varios de ellos vinieron inmigrantes por la educación aquí en los Estados Unidos. Y creo que esa es la oportunidad que tenemos ahorita deberás hablar, con papás sobre el tema de
me gustaría agregar un poquitito a lo que estás comentando tú. En mi comunidad vivo en el área central de Los Ángeles, cercano a Pico Union, y la verdad que la mayor parte de la comunidad es inmigrante.
Sí.
Entonces, lo que es el lenguaje es una barrera, ¿verdad?
Sí.
Para traer la información, para aceptar las diferencias, ¿verdad?
Sí.
Pero es bien importante que así como vinimos de otros lugares, ¿verdad? No solamente los coreanos, no solamente los latinos,
todos Los Ángeles.
Es que así como llegamos de donde vinimos, aquí también hay que mantenernos unidos y luchar por nuestros
porque
hijos
necesitamos
por educación.
67%.
67%.
pasar.
Please, no se les olvide salir a votar este 4
El
de
poder
junio.
está en sus manos.
Sí.
Muchísimas gracias, alcalde.
Gracias.
Thank you so
No,
much
gracias.
for being
Thank
here.
you.
Gracias, Ruby.
Thank you, Gloria.
Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you. Thank you.
And members, I just want to remind you guys of a couple of things that are happening. One is you might have received these cards. So parents, you're going to probably receive these cards. Our members are distributing them to remind you to vote yes on Measure EE and to really thank you for the work that we've built since January together as a community, as residents of this wonderful city of ours. If you haven't done so, members will also be leafleting sometime very soon, hopefully in the next couple of days, if you haven't done so already, on Measure EE. This is in English and Spanish, which helps us give some FAQ and some real important factual information. And then, again, if you have any questions, LA Schoolboys at UTLA.net, but we also have like things that you can do. You can sign up. This is the big final Get Out the Vote weekend.
Yes.
We need folks to sign up at UTLA.net to come out and door knock. I said it, and I hope you remember, 85% of the folks that we talk to are with us. That is a great percentage, but it's also about getting people out to the polls on Tuesday, June 4th. Remember what the mayor said, this is the only thing on the election. And then I just want to share one thing before we go, because I know there's been a lot of negativity on social media, but I want to share this post by somebody and said, I was going to vote no on Measure E until someone pointed out to me that it would make local businesses bear the brunt of raising money for our local schools. So yes, we homeowners will pay more in taxes, but commercial property owners will be forced to shoulder as much as 70% of the money to fund our schools. Right now, it's the complete opposite. Homeowners are shouldering the majority of money. Please look closely at who's opposing EE. It's all big corporations and realtor groups. That alone tells you what you need to do as an LAUSD parent. So please get yourself informed, yes, on ee.org, at utla.net. We are publicschools.org, and follow us on social media. Again, thank you to Joe Zecolla, Ruby Gordillo, and of course our mayor, Eric Garcetti, for joining us in this fight. Thank you all.